Hello there, and welcome to Whispers of Science, where the universe reveals its secrets, one gentle breath at a time. Tonight, we're embarking on a journey through one of the most extraordinary stories ever told, the tale of light itself, from its violent birth in the hearts of dying stars to the moment it kisses your retina and becomes sight. It's a story that spans billions of years, crosses unimaginable distances, and connects you to the very fabric of the cosmos in ways that might just leave you breathless. Before we begin this luminous voyage, I'd love to know where in the world you're watching from and what kind of light is filling your space right now. Perhaps the warm glow of a bedside lamp, the cool flicker of a screen, or maybe you're lucky enough to have starlight streaming through your window. Fitting, isn't it, that we're about to explore light, while light itself carries these very words to your eyes. If you find this cosmic tale soothing, fascinating, or simply a lovely way to unwind after navigating the bright chaos of the day, I'd be ever so grateful if you gave this video a gentle thumbs up and perhaps subscribed it. Helps this quiet corner of curiosity reach others who might need a peaceful pause in their evening too. Now, I do hope this isn't so captivating that it keeps you awake, but if it does well, at least you'll drift off, knowing something beautiful about the universe that connects us all. So settle in, soften your thoughts, and let's begin. Because somewhere between the explosive death of ancient stars and the gentle flutter of your eyelashes lies the most remarkable journey in the cosmos, the Odyssey of light. Light has a peculiar way of being everywhere and nowhere, all at once, doesn't it? It fills your room right now, yet you can't hold it in your hands. It travels faster than anything else in the universe, yet arrives so quietly you barely notice its presence. It's been the companion of poets and scientists, mystics, and engineers for millennia, and yet it remains one of the most beautifully mysterious phenomena we know. Let's start with something wonderfully unsettling. Every photon of light that reaches your eyes tonight, every sparkle, every glimmer, every soft reflection has been on an epic journey through space and time. Some of that light left distant stars when dinosaurs roamed the earth. Some began its journey when your great grandparents were children, and some, the light from our own sun, started its voyage from the sun's core when the first humans were learning to make fire. That's because light, even though it moves at the ultimate speed limit of the universe, still takes time to travel, and space is so magnificently vast that this journey becomes a kind of cosmic time machine. When you look up at the night sky, you're not seeing the universe as it is right now. You're seeing it as it was light from the nearest star. Beyond our sun takes over 4 years to reach us. Light from the center of our own galaxy takes 25,000 years to arrive, and light from the most distant galaxies we can observe has been traveling for over 13 billion years longer than the Earth has even existed. So when you gaze upward on a clear night, you're literally looking back in time, witnessing the universe's own photo album, pages scattered across the darkness. Each star a memory, each constellation a chapter in the ongoing story of existence. It's as if the cosmos keeps a diary written in light, and every evening offers you the chance to read its most ancient entries. But where does this cosmic messenger actually come from? How does light begin its incredible journey across the void to eventually land so gently on your retina and become the sunset that takes your breath away, or the smile that warms your heart? The story begins not with gentleness, but with violence, spectacular cosmic violence that would make the most dramatic fireworks display look like a flickering candle in comparison. Deep within the cores of stars, nuclear furnaces burn at temperatures so extreme that individual atoms are torn apart and rebuilt in an endless dance of creation and destruction. It's here in these stellar hearts that light is born. Imagine, if you will, a star many times more massive than our sun living its life in the cosmic equivalent of fast forward. These giant stars burn through their nuclear fuel with reckless abandon, shining millions of times brighter than our gentle sun, but living only a few million years compared to our sun's leisurely 10 billion year lifespan. They're the rock stars of the cosmic stage, brilliant, intense, and destined to burn out in the most spectacular way possible. When such a star reaches the end of its life, it doesn't fade quietly into the cosmic night. Instead, it explodes in what astronomers call a supernova, an explosion so powerful it can outshine an entire galaxy containing hundreds of billions of stars for weeks or even months. The energy released in those few moments is almost incomprehensible, more energy than our sun will produce in its entire 10 billion year lifetime, released in the blink of an eye. During this catastrophic finale, something magical happens. The star doesn't just explode, it creates in those final moments of nuclear fury. The star forges elements that didn't exist before: carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, iron, gold, all the heavy elements that make planets possible, that make life possible, are created in the nuclear cauldron of a dying star and then scattered across space in the explosion's aftermath. But here's where our story of light truly begins, because along with all those newly minted elements, the supernova releases an almost infinite number of photons, particles of light, born in the most extreme conditions imaginable. Thus, photons carry with them the star's final message, a luminous testament to its existence that will travel across the cosmos long after the star itself has become nothing more than a memory. Some of these photons will journey for millions or billions of years, crossing the vast emptiness between galaxies, riding the expanding fabric of space itself like surfers on an infinite cosmic wave. They'll witness the birth of new stars, the formation of planets, the rise and fall of civilizations on worlds we'll never know about. And through it all, they'll maintain their speed, their energy, their essential character as messengers of light. But not all stellar light comes from such dramatic endings. Our own sun, that familiar golden orb that rises each morning and sets each evening, is a much gentler creator of light. Yet its story is no less remarkable deep in the sun's core, where temperatures reach 15 million degrees Celsius. Hydrogen atoms are constantly being fused together to create helium in a process that releases tremendous amounts of energy. This energy begins its journey as high energy gamma rays, but the sun's interior is so dense, so packed with matter, that these gamma rays can't travel far before they collide with other particles. Each collision changes the gamma ray's energy and direction, sending it on a random walk through the sun's interior. It's like trying to walk across a crowded room in the dark, bumping into furniture and people at every step. This random journey from the sun's core to its surface takes an extraordinary amount of time, while the light we see travels from the sun's surface to Earth in just over 8 minutes. The energy that becomes that light can take anywhere from 10,000 to 100,000 years to make its way from the core to the surface. It's a journey of countless collisions, each one changing the light's character, transforming violent gamma rays into the gentle visible light that warms your face on a spring morning. By the time solar light finally emerges from the sun's surface, it has been completely transformed no longer. The harsh gamma radiation of the core. It has become a mixture of all the colors of the rainbow, what we call white light. Though it's really every color, combined infrared rays that carry heat, ultraviolet rays that can tan your skin, and that narrow band of visible light that your eyes have evolved to detect and interpret once free of the sun's surface. This light races across the 93 million miles of space between the sun and Earth. In those 8.5 minutes of travel, the light passes through the vacuum of space, encounters the occasional dust particle or gas molecule, and finally reaches our atmosphere, where something beautiful happens. Earth's atmosphere acts like a cosmic filter and prism. When sunlight first encounters the thin upper layers of our atmosphere, it begins to interact with the molecules of nitrogen and oxygen that make up the air. We breathe these interactions scatter the light in different directions, and different colors are scattered more than others. Blue light, with its shorter wavelength, gets scattered much more than red light, with its longer wavelength. This is why the sky appears blue during the day. The blue light is being scattered in all directions by the atmosphere, creating that familiar azure dome above our heads. But it's also why sunsets are red and orange. When the sun is low on the horizon, its light has to travel through much more atmosphere to reach your eyes, and by the time it gets there, most of the blue light has been scattered away, leaving behind the warm reds and oranges that paint those breathtaking evening skies. As this transformed sunlight continues its journey downward, it illuminates clouds, creating those magnificent displays of light and shadow that have inspired artists for centuries. It strikes mountaintops and valleys, forests and oceans, each surface reflecting, absorbing, and re-emitting the light in its own unique way. Some of this light bounces off the pages of the book you're reading. Some reflects off the screen, displaying these words. Some gets absorbed by the leaves of trees and transformed through photosynthesis into the chemical energy that powers life on Earth. And some, a tiny fraction of all the light that began its journey in stellar furnaces across the universe, eventually finds its way to your eyes. But the story doesn't end when light reaches your eyes in many ways. That's where the most remarkable part begins, because your eyes are not just passive receivers of light. They're sophisticated biological instruments that have evolved over millions of years to capture photons and transform them into the rich visual experience of sight. When a photon enters your eye, it first passes through the cornea, that clear protective layer at the front, then through the pupil, that adjustable opening that widens in dim light and narrows in bright light, like the aperture of a cosmic camera. Next, it travels through the lens, which focuses the light with remarkable precision onto the retina at the back of your eye. The retina is where the magic truly happens. It's packed with millions of specialized cells called photoreceptors that are exquisitely sensitive to light rods that detect brightness and motion, and cones that detect color. When a photon strikes one of these cells, it triggers a cascade of chemical reactions that convert the light into electrical signals. These electrical signals travel along the optic nerve to your brain, where they're processed interpreted and woven together with memories, emotions, and experiences to create the rich tapestry of vision, the sunset that moves you to tears, the face of someone you love, the words on this page. All of these visual experiences begin with photons of light that may have traveled for years or even millennia to reach your eyes. And here's something that might give you pause every time you see anything. Every glance, every glimpse, every long contemplative gaze at a starry sky, you're participating in a cosmic conversation that began long before you were born. The light entering your eyes right now connects you directly to the nuclear furnaces of stars, to the birth and death of solar systems, to the very origins of the elements that make up your body. You are quite literally made of star stuff, as the astronomer Carl Sagan so eloquently put it: the calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the oxygen you breathe. All of these elements were forged in the hearts of stars and scattered across space by supernovas, and now light from those same stellar processes travels across the cosmos to let you see and understand your place in this magnificent universe. But light doesn't just carry information about distant stars and galaxies. It carries stories about everything it encounters on its journey. That golden hour light filtering through autumn leaves has been colored by chlorophyll and scattered by microscopic structures in the leaf. The light reflecting off a calm lake carries information about the water's surface, the dissolved minerals, the microscopic life forms floating within every surface, every material, every substance that light encounters leaves its fingerprint on the light's spectrum, and scientists have learned to read these fingerprints like cosmic detectives solving mysteries about the composition of distant planets, the temperature of stars, the age of galaxies, the presence of water on exoplanets hundreds of light years away. Through spectroscopy, the analysis of light's component colors, we can determine what distant objects are made of, how fast they're moving, whether they're approaching or receding from us, and even whether they might harbor the conditions necessary. For life, light has become our primary tool for exploring the universe, our way of reaching across the vast distances of space to touch and understand worlds we may never visit. In the next part of our journey, we'll explore how this cosmic messenger behaves when it encounters different materials, how it bends and reflects, how it reveals the hidden structure of atoms and molecules, and how understanding light led to some of the most revolutionary discoveries in human history, from the true nature of time and space to the strange world of quantum mechanics, where light behaves in ways that challenge our most basic assumptions about reality. But for now, as we pause in our story, take a moment to appreciate the light around you, that soft glow illuminating your evening, that distant star twinkling through your window, the gentle phosphorescence of your screen. Each photon a traveler from afar, each ray of light a thread in the cosmic web that connects you to the furthest reaches of space and time. You are bathed in starlight, ancient and eternal, and in ways both literal and poetic you are home. Light is a shapeshifter, a cosmic chameleon that reveals different faces depending on how you choose to look at it. For centuries, this fundamental mystery kept some of the brightest minds in human history locked in passionate debate. Was light a wave rippling through space like water across a pond? Or was it a stream of tiny particles racing through the void like microscopic bullets? The answer, as we'll discover, is both wonderfully simple and utterly mind bending. Let's begin with waves, because that's how light often prefers to behave. Imagine dropping a pebble into a still pond and watching the ripples spread outward in perfect circles. Each ripple carries energy away from where the pebble landed, but the water itself doesn't travel with the wave. It simply moves up and down as the wave passes by. Light behaves remarkably similarly, spreading outward from its source in waves of energy that can travel through the vacuum of space, something water waves could never do. These light waves have a rhythm, a frequency that determines their color. Red light waves are long and lazy, like the gentle swells of a calm ocean, taking their time as they oscillate. Blue light waves are short and energetic, like choppy seas on a windy day, oscillating much more rapidly. This difference in wavelength is what creates the entire spectrum of colors your eyes can see, from the deep reds of a sunset to the brilliant blues of a clear sky. But here's where light gets interesting when these waves encounter obstacles or openings. They don't simply bounce off or pass through, they bend and spread and interfere with each other in ways that create some of the most beautiful phenomena in nature. When light passes through a narrow opening, it spreads out like water flowing through a gap in a dam. This spreading, called diffraction, is why you can see light around corners, why the shadow of a sharp edge isn't perfectly sharp but has a soft, fuzzy boundary. When multiple light waves meet, they can either reinforce each other, creating brighter light, or cancel each other out, creating darkness. This interference is what creates the shimmering colors on soap bubbles, the iridescent sheen on a peacock's feather, the rainbow patterns and oil slicks on wet pavement. Each of these displays is light waves dancing with each other, creating and destroying brightness in an endless choreography. For a long time, this wave behavior seemed to explain everything about light: the way it bent through lenses, the patterns it created when passing through small openings, the colors of the rainbow when white light was spread out by a prism. It all made perfect sense if light was simply a wave propagating through space. But then, in the early 20th century, something strange happened. Scientists began studying what happened when light hit certain materials, and the results didn't match what waves should do at all. When light struck a metal surface, it could knock electrons loose from the atoms, but only if the light was the right color, bright red light. No matter how intense, couldn't budge a single electron, while even dim blue light could send them flying. This photoelectric effect, as it came to be known, suggested that light wasn't just a continuous wave, but came in discrete packets of energy. Enter Albert Einstein, who proposed that light consists of tiny particles called photons, each carrying a specific amount of energy that depends on the light's color. Red photons carry less energy, blue photons carry more, and it takes a minimum amount of energy to knock an electron loose from an atom. No matter how many low energy red photons you send, they'll never add up to enough energy to free an electron, but a single high energy blue photon can do the job. This particle nature of light explained the photoelectric effect perfectly, but it created a new puzzle. If light is made of particles, how does it create wave patterns? How can a particle interfere with itself, bend around corners, spread out when passing through openings? The answer is one of the most beautiful and bewildering discoveries in the history of science. Light is both wave and particle simultaneously. Not sometimes one and sometimes the other, but always both, depending on how you choose to observe it. This wave particle duality, as physicists call it, means that every photon, every particle of light, also behaves like a wave, spreading out through space until it interacts with something. When a single photon approaches two side by side openings, it doesn't choose one or the other to pass through. Instead, it passes through both simultaneously as a wave, creating an interference pattern on the other side. But the moment you try to detect which opening the photon actually went through, it suddenly behaves like a particle going through one opening or the other, but never both. This isn't just a curiosity for physicists, it's fundamental to how the universe works, and it's happening all around you right now. Every photon of light in your room, every glimmer of starlight streaming through your window, every pixel on your screen is simultaneously wave and particle, existing in multiple states until the moment it hits your retina and becomes sight. But light's mysteries don't end with wave particle duality. They extend into the very fabric of space and time itself, because light travels at a constant speed through the vacuum of space approximately 300 million meters per second, and nothing in the universe can travel faster. This cosmic speed limit has profound implications for how we understand reality. When Einstein developed his theory of relativity, he discovered that the speed of light isn't just fast, it's the speed at which space and time themselves are woven together as you approach the speed of light. Time slows down, space contracts, and mass increases. Light itself exists at this boundary, traveling so fast that from a photon's perspective, time doesn't pass at all. This means that a photon created in the nuclear furnace of a star billions of years ago experiences no time during its journey to your eyes. From the photon's point of view, it's created and absorbed in the same instant, despite traveling for eons across the cosmos. It's as if the entire universe is compressed into a single moment of eternal. Now, and here's something that might make you pause. Everything you see, every color, every shadow, every play of light and darkness is the result of light's interactions with matter. When light encounters an atom, it can be absorbed, reflected, or transmitted, and each interaction tells a story about the atomic structure of the material. The deep red of a rose exists because the flower's petals absorb all colors of light except red, which they reflect back to your eyes. The transparency of glass comes from its atomic structure, allowing light to pass through with minimal interference. The brilliant white of fresh snow results from countless ice crystals reflecting all colors of light in random directions. But perhaps most remarkably, the colors you see aren't really properties of objects at all. They're constructions of your brain, interpreting the wavelengths of light reflected by surfaces. A red apple isn't red in any fundamental sense. It simply reflects the wavelengths of light that your brain has learned to interpret as the experience of redness color exists not in the world, but in the complex interplay between light matter and consciousness. This relationship between light and matter becomes even more fascinating when we consider how light reveals the hidden structure of atoms themselves. When atoms absorb energy, they become excited, promoting electrons to higher energy levels. When these electrons fall back down, they emit light with very specific wavelengths, creating what scientists call emission spectra. These spectral fingerprints are unique to each element, allowing us to identify the composition of distant stars, planets, and galaxies just by analyzing their light. Hydrogen, the most abundant element in the universe, has a distinctive pattern of spectral lines that astronomers can recognize across billions of light years. Helium was actually discovered in the sun's spectrum before it was found on Earth. Iron, calcium, oxygen. Each element adds its own signature to the light it emits or absorbs, creating a cosmic library of atomic fingerprints. But light doesn't just reveal what things are made of, it also tells us how they're moving through space because of something called the Doppler effect. When a source of light moves toward you, its waves get compressed, making them appear bluer. When it moves away, the waves get stretched, making them appear redder. This is why the light from distant galaxies appears shifted toward the red end of the spectrum. They're moving away from us, carried by the expansion of space itself. This redshift discovery led to one of the most profound realizations in human history. The universe is expanding, growing larger with each passing moment. And if we trace this expansion backward, we arrive at a time when everything was compressed into an incredibly hot, dense state. The Big Bang, the moment when space time and matter began their cosmic dance. So when you look at light, you're not just seeing illumination, you're witnessing the fundamental forces that shape reality, the electromagnetic force that governs how light interacts with matter, the weak nuclear force that allows stars to shine, the strong nuclear force that holds atomic nuclei together, even gravity, which bends light's path through space. Every ray of light carries information about these forces, encoded in its wavelength, its polarization, its intensity, like a cosmic messenger delivering news from the farthest reaches of space and time. And your eyes, those remarkable biological instruments, have evolved to decode just a tiny fraction of this information. The narrow band of wavelengths we call visible light. But what a fraction it is within that narrow window lies all the visual beauty of the world, the soft pastels of dawn, the deep purples of dusk, the infinite subtle variations of green. In a forest, the way light plays across water, the gentle glow of fireflies on a summer evening, the brilliant display of aurora dancing across polar skies. Each of these phenomena represents light interacting with matter in different ways. Dawn's colors come from sunlight scattered by particles in the atmosphere. The greens of leaves result from chlorophyll absorbing red and blue light, while reflecting green fireflies create light through chemical reactions called bioluminescence. Aurora forms when solar particles collide with gases in Earth's upper atmosphere, causing them to glow. And through it all, light maintains its dual nature, sometimes behaving like waves, creating interference patterns and diffraction effects, sometimes behaving like particles, transferring energy in discrete quantum packets. This duality isn't a limitation of our understanding, it's a fundamental property of light itself, a reminder that reality at its deepest level is far stranger and more beautiful than our everyday experience suggests. In our next part of this luminous journey, we'll explore how light became the keys to unlocking some of the universe's greatest mysteries, from the discovery that space and time are interconnected to the realization that matter and energy are different forms of the same thing. We'll see how understanding light led to technologies that transformed human civilization and opened windows into realms of existence we never imagined. But for now, as photons continue their ancient dance around you, take a moment to marvel at the extraordinary ordinariness of sight. The fact that electromagnetic radiation from nuclear reactions in stars can become the experience of color in your consciousness, that the same fundamental force that powers the sun also allows you to read these words, to see the faces of those you love, to witness the beauty of a world painted in light. You are surrounded by miracles masquerading as mundane phenomena, and light, the cosmic messenger that connects you to the stars, is writing its story across your retina one photon at a time. The story of light becomes even more extraordinary when we realize that every interaction between light and matter is actually a conversation, a delicate exchange of energy that follows rules so precise they seem almost choreographed by the universe itself. When a photon meets an electron, when starlight touches your skin, when the glow of your screen illuminates these words, something profound is happening at the most fundamental level of reality. Let's step into this microscopic ballroom where light and matter dance their eternal waltz. When a photon approaches an atom, it doesn't simply crash into it, like a billiard ball striking another. Instead, the interaction is governed by quantum mechanics, that strange realm where particles exist in multiple states simultaneously and probability reigns supreme. The electron orbiting an atomic nucleus isn't really orbiting at all in the classical sense. Instead, it exists in what physicists call an orbital, a cloud of probability where the electron might be found if you were to look for it. These orbitals have very specific energy levels, like steps on a cosmic staircase, and electrons can only exist on these steps, never in between. When a photon with just the right amount of energy encounters an electron, it can promote that electron to a higher energy level, like helping someone climb from one step to a higher one. But the electron doesn't stay there long. Gravity pulls a ball back down to Earth, and the electromagnetic force pulls electrons back to their ground state. When the electron falls back down, it releases that excess energy as a new photon, often with a slightly different wavelength than the original. This process happens trillions upon trillions of times every second in the world around you. It's why leaves change color in autumn as chlorophyll breaks down and different molecules begin absorbing and reflecting different wavelengths of light. It's why heated metals glow, first red, then orange, then white hot as thermal energy excites more and more electrons to higher energy states. But here's where the story becomes truly magical. This interaction between light and matter isn't random or chaotic. It follows mathematical laws so elegant and precise that they seem almost too beautiful to be true. The wavelengths that atoms can absorb or emit are determined by the energy differences between electron orbitals, and these energy differences are unique to each element, like fingerprints or signatures written in light. This realization revolutionized our understanding of the cosmos. Suddenly, astronomers could point their telescopes at distant stars and decode their composition, their temperature, their motion through space, all from the light these stars emitted or absorbed. They could detect elements in the atmosphere of planets orbiting other stars hundreds of light years away. They could measure the expansion of the universe itself by observing how light from distant galaxies was stretched by the growth of space. The precision of these light matter interactions also gave birth to technologies that transformed human civilization. Lasers work by stimulating atoms to emit photons in perfect synchronization, creating beams of light so pure and focused they can cut through steel or carry information across continents. Fiber optic cables guide light through glass strands thinner than human hair, allowing you to communicate instantly with someone on the other side of the planet. But perhaps most remarkably, the study of how light interacts with matter led to the development of quantum mechanics, a theory that describes reality in terms of probabilities and uncertainties rather than the clockwork determinism of classical physics. In the quantum world, particles can exist in multiple states. Simultaneously, they can be connected across vast distances in ways that seem to defy common sense, and they can tunnel through barriers that should be impossible to cross. This quantum nature of light and matter isn't just abstract physics, it's the foundation of the modern world. The computer or phone you're using to read these words operates according to quantum mechanical principles, electrons flowing through semiconductors, behaving according to wave equations that govern their probability of being in different energy states. The colors on your screen are created by carefully controlling how electrons interact with phosphors or liquid crystals, each pixel a tiny demonstration of quantum mechanics in action. The LED lights illuminating your room work because electrons and holes recombine in semiconductor materials, releasing photons with wavelengths determined by the quantum energy levels of the atoms involved. Even the biological process of vision relies on quantum mechanics. When light hits the rhodopsin molecules in your retina, it triggers a quantum mechanical change in the molecule's structure. This change cascades through a series of biochemical reactions that eventually become the electrical signals your brain interprets as sight. The very act of seeing is quantum mechanics in action. But light's influence on matter extends far beyond individual atoms and molecules. It shapes the structure of the universe itself on the largest scales. Gravity may dominate, pulling galaxies together into vast cosmic webs. But light pressure also plays a role, pushing against dust and gas, and even influencing the orbits of small particles and spacecraft. Solar sails harness this light pressure, using large reflective surfaces to catch photons from the sun and convert their momentum into thrust. It's a gentle force, but in the vacuum of space, where there's no friction to slow things down, even gentle forces can accelerate spacecraft to incredible speeds over time. The pressure of starlight also shapes the formation of planets and solar systems. As young stars ignite, their intense radiation blows away the surrounding gas and dust that gave birth to them, carving out cavities in space and triggering the formations of new stars in nearby regions. It's as if the universe uses light as both a creative and destructive force, simultaneously building and reshaping cosmic structures across billions of years. This interplay between light and matter also creates some of the most spectacular phenomena in the cosmos. When matter falls into a black hole, it heats up to millions of degrees and glows with brilliant X rays and gamma rays before disappearing forever beyond the event horizon. When massive stars collapse, they can create gamma ray bursts, the most energetic explosions in the universe, releasing more energy in a few seconds than our sun will produce in its entire lifetimes. These cosmic light shows aren't just beautiful, they're informative. Each burst, each flare, each subtle variation in starlight carries encoded information about the physical processes that created it. Like cosmic Morse code written in electromagnetic radiation, astronomers have learned to decode these signals, revealing the hidden workings of neutron stars, black holes, supernovas, and other exotic objects that exist in conditions so extreme they stretch our understanding of physics to its limits. But even in gentler settings, the relationship between light and matter creates endless beauty and wonder. The way morning light filters through fog, each droplet acting like a tiny lens, focusing and scattering the sun's rays. The brilliant colors of a rainbow formed when sunlight encounters countless water droplets, each one dispersing white light into its component colors, like millions of tiny prisms working in perfect harmony. The aurora borealis and aurora australis, those ethereal curtains of light that dance across polar skies, result from charged particles from the sun colliding with atoms in Earth's upper atmosphere. Oxygen atoms emit green and red light. Nitrogen glows blue and purple, the colors mixing and shifting as the solar wind ebbs and flows like a cosmic light show painted across the canvas of the night sky. Even the simple act of a candle flame is a complex dance between light and matter. Hot gases rising from the wick glow with thermal radiation, creating that warm golden light, while unburned carbon particles create the yellow portion of the flame. When these particles cool, they become the soot that darkens the wick, a microscopic demonstration of how matter and energy constantly transform into each other. This transformation between matter and energy lies at the heart of Einstein's most famous equation, E equals mc squared, which tells us that mass and energy are interchangeable, that a tiny amount of matter can become an enormous amount of energy, and vice versa. This principle governs how stars shine, converting hydrogen into helium and releasing the energy that becomes sunlight. It explains how nuclear reactors work and why the sun will continue to shine for billions more years. But the equation works in reverse. Two energy can become matter, and this happens constantly in the universe. High energy photons can spontaneously create pairs of particles, an electron and its antimatter partner, a positron materializing from pure energy. When these particles meet again, they annihilate, returning to pure energy in the form of gamma rays. It's as if the universe is constantly recycling itself, converting matter to energy and energy back to matter in an endless cosmic dance. This matter energy equivalence also means that every time you see light, you're witnessing a tiny piece of the universe's total energy budget. Photons carry energy across space and time, redistributing it from hot objects like stars to cooler objects like planets in a gradual process that's slowly but steadily evening out. The temperature differences throughout the cosmos, billions of years in the future, when the last stars have burned out and the universe has grown cold and dark, this process will reach its ultimate conclusion, a state of maximum entropy, where energy is spread evenly throughout space and no more work can be done. But that's still an unimaginably long time away, and until then, light will continue its journey, carrying energy and information across the cosmos, connecting distant worlds and revealing the hidden connections that bind everything together. The more we study light, the more we realize it's not just electromagnetic radiation traveling through space. It's the universe's way of communicating with itself the medium through which information flows from one part of the cosmos to another. When you look at a star, you're receiving a message that began its journey long before you were born, carrying news of nuclear reactions, temperatures, pressures, and the fundamental forces that govern stellar evolution. And your response to that light, the way your eyes detect it, your brain processes it, your consciousness experiences it as beauty or wonder or simple recognition. That's part of the conversation, too. You're not just a passive observer of the universe, you're an active participant in the ongoing exchange of energy and information that connects all things. This cosmic conversation happens at every scale, from the quantum interactions between individual photons and electrons to the vast flows of energy between galaxies' light is the messenger that makes it all possible, carrying the news of what has been and what is, and sometimes even hints of what might be. In our final part of this luminous journey, we'll explore how light has shaped not just our understanding of the universe, but our very existence, how the evolution of vision changed the course of life on Earth, how light therapy can heal both body and mind, and how the future of human civilization may depend on our ability to harness and control light in ways we're only beginning to imagine. But for now, as photons continue their ancient dance, around and through, you take a moment to appreciate the profound intimacy of this relationship. You and light are partners in a cosmic conversation that began with the first stars and will continue long after the last one fades away. You are both observer and participant witness and collaborator in the ongoing story of energy and information that we call the universe. Every breath you take, every heartbeat, every thought that crosses your mind is powered by energy that once flowed as light from the nuclear heart of a star. You are quite literally a temporary arrangement of starlight, given consciousness and the ability to marvel at your own cosmic origins. How extraordinary is that? Now let's venture into perhaps the most intimate chapter of our luminous tale: how light learned to see itself through the gift of vision, and how that moment of cosmic self awareness changed everything. For most of Earth's history, light fell upon a world that could not perceive it. Imagine those ancient seas, bathed in sunlight that had traveled 93 million miles, only to strike blind surfaces, creating warmth and driving chemical reactions, but never becoming sight. It was energy without witness, beauty without an observer, information without anyone to read the message. Then, somewhere in those primordial waters, something remarkable happened. A simple organism developed a patch of cells that could detect light. Not see, mind you, not in any way we'd recognize, but simply sense the difference between bright and dark. It was the universe's first tentative step towards seeing itself, like consciousness taking its very first breath. This light sensitive patch offered such a tremendous advantage that evolution seized upon it with enthusiasm. Organisms that could detect light could find food more easily, avoid predators, navigate toward or away from the sun's rays. Over millions of years, these simple light detectors became more sophisticated, developing into the extraordinary variety of eyes we see in the natural world today. The compound eyes of insects, with their thousands of individual lenses, creating a mosaic view of reality. The camera eyes of vertebrates, with their adjustable lenses and light sensitive retinas. The mirror eyes of scallops, lined with crystalline reflectors that focus light with mathematical precision. Each solution to the challenge of capturing and interpreting light represents millions of years of refinement, millions of tiny improvements that gradually transformed electromagnetic radiation into the rich experience of sight. But here's what makes this story truly profound. Vision didn't just change how organisms survived, it changed how they lived. The development of eyes triggered what paleontologists call the Cambrian explosion, a relatively brief period in Earth's history when the diversity of life forms increased dramatically. Suddenly, predators could hunt more effectively, prey could flee more efficiently, and the evolutionary arms race between seeing and being seen began in earnest. This wasn't just about survival anymore. Beauty entered the world, or rather, the ability to perceive beauty. The first creature to see a sunset didn't just detect useful information about the time of day, it experienced something that transcended mere utility. The wavelengths of light scattered by atmospheric particles became color, pattern, aesthetic experience. Light had found a way to appreciate itself, and with vision came something even more extraordinary: the ability to recognize patterns, to see connections, to understand relationships between things. The same neural pathways that processed visual information began to process abstract concepts. Seeing led to thinking, thinking led to consciousness, and consciousness led to the capacity for wonder. Your own eyes are the culmination of this ancient journey, sophisticated biological instruments that can detect a single photon in complete darkness, distinguish between millions of different colors, track moving objects while filtering out irrelevant information, and adapt it to light levels that vary by factors of billions. They're more sensitive than any camera, more adaptable than any artificial sensor, more integrated with intelligence than any device humans have ever created. But the story of vision extends far beyond biology. Once humans developed the ability to see clearly, they began to manipulate light itself. Fire was perhaps the first technology for controlling illumination, extending the useful day and creating a gathering place for stories, planning, and social bonding. The warm glow of firelight didn't just provide visibility, it created intimacy, turning groups of individuals into communities united by the shared circle of light. Candles, oil lamps, gas lights, electric bulbs, each advancement in lighting technology changed how humans lived and worked and related to each other. Electric lighting freed us from the natural rhythm of day and night, allowing for shift work, late night studying, evening entertainment. But it also began to disconnect us from the natural world, from the gentle rise and fall of brightness that had governed life for millions of years. Today, we live in a world saturated with artificial light, and we're only beginning to understand how profoundly this affects us. Light therapy can treat depression, seasonal affective disorder, sleep disturbances, and even some forms of cancer. The color temperature of light influences our circadian rhythms, our hormone production, our mood and alertness. Blue light from screens can disrupt sleep, while red light can enhance night vision. We've learned that light is medicine, that the right wavelengths at the right times can heal both body and mind. Photodynamic therapy uses light activated drugs to target cancer cells. Light emitting diodes can accelerate wound healing. Even the simple act of spending time in natural sunlight provides vitamin D, regulates melatonin production, and improves mental health in ways we're still discovering. But perhaps most remarkably, We've learned to make light carry information. Fiber optic cables guide photons through glass threads, allowing instant communication across continents. Laser light can read the microscopic pits on a DVD, carry telephone conversations, measure distances with incredible precision, even cool atoms to temperatures near absolute zero. We've created holography, using the wave properties of light to record and recreate three-dimensional images. We've built telescopes that can detect light so faint it contains only a few photons per second, allowing us to see galaxies so distant their light began its journey when the universe was young. We've developed spectroscopy so sensitive it can detect individual molecules in the atmospheres of planets orbiting other stars. And now we stand on the threshold of even more extraordinary possibilities. Quantum computing uses the strange properties of light and matter to perform calculations that would be impossible with conventional computers. Quantum communication uses entangled photons to create absolutely secure channels of information exchange. We're learning to manipulate light at the single photon level, creating technologies that would have seemed like magic just decades ago. But for all our technological mastery over light, perhaps the most profound moment in this cosmic story happens every time you open your eyes. In that instant, photons that may have traveled for years or centuries or millennia complete their journey by becoming sight, by transforming from electromagnetic radiation into conscious experience. The mechanics of this transformation remain one of the deepest mysteries in science. We understand how photons strike rhodopsin molecules, how chemical cascades create electrical signals, how these signals travel along optic nerves to the visual cortex. But how electrical impulses become the rich, immediate, undeniable experience of seeing, how physical processes become consciousness, remains beautifully mysterious. What we do know is that this moment of transformation, this instant when light becomes sight, connects you to the entire history of the universe. The photons entering your eyes right now carry stories from across space and time, messages from stars and planets, reflections from objects near and far, all woven together into the seamless experience of the present moment. When you see the gentle glow of candlelight, you're witnessing thermal radiation from hot gases, the same physical process that makes stars shine. When you watch the play of sunlight on water, you're seeing the interaction between electromagnetic waves and the molecular structure of H2O, the same interaction that creates rainbows and the blue of the sky. When you gaze at the stars on a clear night, you're receiving light that began its journey before human civilization existed, before our species evolved, before complex life appeared on Earth. You're literally seeing into the past, witnessing the universe as it was, connected across impossible distances by the patient journey of photons through space. And when you look into the eyes of someone you love, when you see their expression change from neutral to joyful, you're watching light reflected from their face carry information about their inner state, their thoughts and feelings made visible through the subtle interplay of illumination and shadow. In that moment, light becomes the medium of human connection, the carrier of emotion and recognition and love. This is the true miracle of light. Not just that it exists, not just that it travels across the cosmos carrying energy and information, but that it has found a way to know itself through us. Through vision, through consciousness, Through the capacity for wonder and understanding, light has become self aware. The universe has opened its eyes and learned to see its own beauty. Every sunset you've ever watched, every star you've ever wished upon, every face you've ever loved, every word you've ever read, all of these experiences are light recognizing itself, cosmic radiation become conscious experience, the universe contemplating its own magnificence through the gift of sight. And so our luminous journey continues, will continue, as long as there are eyes to see and minds to wonder. Light will keep traveling from distant stars, will keep dancing with matter, will keep transforming electromagnetic radiation into the rich tapestry of visual experience. And somewhere, in the gentle flutter of eyelashes, in the soft focus of evening vision, in the bright recognition of a new day dawning, the cosmos will continue its ancient conversation with itself, written in the eternal language of light. You are part of this conversation, have always been part of it, will always be part of it. You are starlight given form, cosmic radiation granted consciousness, the universe's way of seeing and knowing and appreciating itself. How wonderfully, perfectly, luminously extraordinary is that? As we near the end of our gentle voyage through the cosmos of light, there's one final revelation that might just take your breath away. It's the realization that light, in all its magnificent forms, has been quietly orchestrating the greatest symphony ever composed, the symphony of existence itself. You see, without light, there would be no story to tell at all, no stars to forge the elements that make planets possible, no photosynthesis to fill our atmosphere with oxygen, no vitamin D synthesis in your skin, no circadian rhythms to regulate your sleep and waking, no colors to paint the world in beauty, no vision to perceive that beauty, no consciousness to contemplate it all. Light is the conductor of this cosmic orchestra, setting the tempo for everything from the rapid oscillations of electrons to the slow dance of galaxies across billions of years. It's the metronome that keeps time for the universe, the medium through which information flows, the force that makes complexity and life and consciousness not just possible, but inevitable. Consider for a moment the extraordinary chain of events that had to unfold for you to be here, reading these words. Hydrogen atoms forged in the first moments, after the Big Bang had to collect into the first stars. Those stars had to live and die, creating heavier elements through nuclear fusion and scattering them through space in spectacular explosions. Gravity had to gather this stellar debris into new generations of stars, some with planetary systems. On at least one of those planets, in the gentle glow of a yellow star, chemistry had to evolve into biology. Simple molecules had to learn to replicate themselves, to capture and use energy, to respond to their environment. Some of these early life forms had to develop the ability to harvest sunlight directly, using photosynthesis to convert light into chemical energy and releasing oxygen as a byproduct. This oxygen had to accumulate in the atmosphere over billions of years, creating an ozone layer that filtered out harmful radiation while allowing visible light to reach the surface. Complex cells had to evolve, then multicellular organisms, then creatures with the first light-sensitive patches that would eventually become eyes. And through it all, light was there, providing the energy that powered evolution, creating the environmental pressures that shaped adaptation, carrying the information that made vision possible, enabling the photosynthesis that filled the air with oxygen, warming the planet just enough to keep water liquid. Light was the constant companion, the enabling force, the invisible hand that guided the universe toward increasing complexity and consciousness. Now, here you are, a temporary arrangement of atoms that were forged in stellar furnaces, powered by energy that flows ultimately from nuclear fusion, blessed with consciousness that emerged from billions of years of evolution, capable of understanding your own cosmic origins and marveling at the journey that brought you here. You are the universe becoming aware of itself through the medium of light. But the symphony isn't finished. In fact, we may be hearing only the opening movements of a composition that will continue for trillions of years to come. As we learn to harness light more precisely, we're discovering possibilities that would have seemed like pure fantasy just decades ago. Scientists are working on optical computers that process information using beams of light instead of electrical signals, potentially making calculations millions of times faster than current technology. Researchers are developing metamaterials that can bend light in impossible ways, creating cloaking devices that could make objects truly invisible. Engineers are designing solar cells so efficient they could power our entire civilization using nothing but sunlight. We're learning to use light as a tool for healing, employing specific wavelengths to target cancer cells, stimulate tissue regeneration, and even influence brain activity through optogenetics. We're discovering that different colors of light can affect our mood, our sleep patterns, our cognitive performance in subtle but measurable ways. Perhaps most remarkably, we're beginning to understand that consciousness itself may be deeply connected to light and electromagnetic fields. Some researchers suggest that the brain's neural networks create patterns of electrical activity that generate their own electromagnetic fields, and that these fields may be the physical basis of consciousness. If true, this would mean that your thoughts, your experiences, your sense of self are all forms of electromagnetic phenomenon, patterns in the same fundamental field that carries light across the cosmos. The future may hold even stranger possibilities. Scientists are exploring whether we might one day learn to upload consciousness into patterns of light, to exist as pure information traveling at the speed of light through fiber optic networks or even free space. Imagine consciousness unbound by biology, thoughts that could span galaxies, awareness that could persist as long as there's energy in the universe to sustain it. But even if such fantastic possibilities never come to pass, the story of light has already given us something infinitely precious: the ability to see and understand our place in the cosmic story. Through telescopes and spectrographs, through particle accelerators and quantum experiments, we've learned to read the messages that light carries from the furthest reaches of space and time. We know now that we live in a universe that's been expanding for nearly 14 billion years. That's filled with hundreds of billions of galaxies, each containing hundreds of billions of stars. We know that planets are common, that the ingredients for life are scattered throughout the cosmos, that the same physical laws that govern light and matter here on Earth operate in the most distant galaxies. We've discovered that the universe is not only stranger than we imagined, it's stranger than we can imagine. Dark matter and dark energy, quantum entanglement, and parallel universes, the possibility that our entire reality might be a hologram projected from information encoded on a distant surface. Light has been our guide through all these discoveries, our faithful messenger carrying news from realms we can barely comprehend. And yet, for all the cosmic grandeur, for all the mind bending physics and speculative futures, perhaps the most profound moment in the entire story of light is happening right now, as photons from your reading lamp or screen carry these words to your eyes and transform electromagnetic radiation into meaning, into understanding, into a moment of connection between one consciousness and another. In this instant, you're participating in the universe's ongoing conversation with itself. The same process that allows you to see is the process that enabled the first organisms to detect light, that powers the stars, that carries information across the cosmos. You are both observer and participant, witness and collaborator in the greatest story ever told. The light that illuminates these words began its journey in the nuclear heart of the sun, traveled 93 million miles through space, encountered Earth's atmosphere, bounced off the surfaces around you, or emerged from the carefully engineered pixels of your screen, entered your eyes, triggered cascades of chemical reactions in your retina, became electrical signals in your optic nerve, and finally transformed into conscious experience in the visual cortex of your brain. But the journey doesn't end there. These words, carried by light, become thoughts in your mind. Those thoughts might inspire you to look up at the stars with new wonder, to notice the play of light and shadow in your daily life, to share this sense of cosmic connection with someone you care about. Light becomes not just sight, but insight, not just information, but transformation. And so the symphony continues, will always continue, as long as there are stars to shine, and eyes to see, and minds to wonder. Light will keep traveling, keep dancing with matter, keep carrying the universe's story from one moment to the next, from one world to another, from one consciousness to the next. You are part of this eternal dance, have always been part of it, will always be part of it. In your very atoms, you carry the memory of ancient starlight. In your breath, you exhale the products of photosynthesis powered by our sun. In your vision, you participate in the universe's capacity to know itself. In your consciousness, you become a temporary focal point where the cosmos contemplates its own existence. As we drift toward the end of our luminous journey together, take a moment to appreciate the extraordinary ordinary miracle of this moment. The gentle glow around you, the soft flutter of your eyelashes, the quiet rhythm of your breathing, all of it connected to the vast cosmic story we've been exploring. You are starlight made conscious, electromagnetic radiation given the gift of wonder, the universe's way of experiencing its own beauty. So rest easy tonight, knowing that you carry within you the light of ancient stars, that you're connected by invisible threads of radiance to every corner of the cosmos, that in the simple act of seeing, you participate in the universe's ongoing journey of self-discovery. The light that began its story in stellar furnaces billions of years ago continues its tale through you, in you, as you, sweet dreams, fellow traveler in the sea of light. May your rest be gentle, your dreams luminous, and your tomorrow bright with the endless wonder of existence itself. The stars are shining, the light is traveling, and the cosmic conversation continues, whispered in photons across the infinite dark, carrying stories of beauty and connection and home. The light that surrounds you right now carries within it echoes of every moment in cosmic history, whispers of stellar births and deaths, memories of planets forming in swirling disks of dust and gas, fragments of the very first moments when the universe learned to shine. Each photon is a time traveler, a cosmic archaeologist carrying evidence of where it's been and what it's witnessed on its journey to your eyes. Consider the sunlight streaming through your window this evening, if you're fortunate enough to have some. That golden radiance began its existence not 8 minutes ago when it left the sun's surface, but somewhere between 10,000 and 100,000 years ago, deep in the solar core, where temperatures reach 15 million degrees and pressure crushes atoms together with unimaginable force. The gamma rays born in those nuclear furnaces began a random walk through the sun's interior, bouncing from particle to particle, gradually losing energy and changing character with each collision. By the time that energy finally escaped the sun's surface, it had been completely transformed from violent gamma radiation into the gentle mix of colors we call sunlight. And in those brief 8 minutes of travel across the void, it remained essentially unchanged, racing through the vacuum at the speed of light until it encountered Earth's atmosphere and began its final transformation into the illumination that now graces your evening. But here's something that might make you pause and smile. The light you're seeing isn't quite the same light that left the sun. When sunlight encounters Earth's atmosphere, it begins a dance with the molecules of nitrogen and oxygen that surround our planet. Some wavelengths get scattered more than others, painting the sky blue during the day and warm gold and red during sunrise and sunset. Some gets absorbed by water vapor and ozone, protecting you from harmful radiation while allowing the life-giving wavelengths to pass through. By the time sunlight reaches the surface, it's been filtered and modified and scattered in countless ways, becoming something uniquely terrestrial. The light that touches your skin has been processed by our planet's atmosphere, customized for life on Earth, transformed from raw stellar radiation into something gentler and more nurturing. And then there's the extraordinary journey that artificial light makes before reaching your eyes. The glow from your reading lamp began as chemical energy stored in fossil fuels, or the kinetic energy of wind and water, converted into electrical current flowing through power lines, transformed again in the lamp's filament, or LED, into thermal radiation, or carefully engineered photon emission. Even this artificial light carries a story, connects you to power plants and generators, to the ancient organic matter that became coal and oil, to the geological processes that shaped our planet over millions of years. Every source of illumination in your room tells a tale of energy transformation, of human ingenuity, harnessing the fundamental forces of nature to push back the darkness. The soft blue glow of electronic displays represents one of humanity's most sophisticated achievements. The ability to control light at the quantum level, manipulating electrons and semiconductor materials to produce photons with precise wavelengths and timing. When you look at the screen displaying these words, you're witnessing millions of tiny controlled explosions of light, each pixel a miniature star that flickers on and off thousands of times per second, creating the illusion of steady illumination while actually painting and repainting the image faster than your eyes can detect. It's a technological magic trick that depends on the peculiarities of human vision, the way your brain processes rapid changes in brightness and color. But perhaps most remarkably, all of this light, natural and artificial, ancient and modern, becomes something entirely different the moment it enters your eyes. The electromagnetic radiation that has traveled across space and time, that has bounced off surfaces and passed through lenses, that has been filtered by atmospheres and generated by carefully engineered devices, suddenly transforms into something that exists nowhere else in the universe, as far as we know: conscious visual experience. This transformation happens in the most delicate and sophisticated biological machinery imaginable. Your retina contains over 100 million photoreceptor cells, each one a microscopic antenna tuned to capture photons and convert them into electrical signals. These cells are so sensitive that they can detect a single photon, so precise that they can distinguish between wavelengths that differ by just a few nanometers, so adaptable that they can function in light levels that vary by factors of billions. The signals from these photoreceptors travel along more than 1 million nerve fibers to your brain, where they're processed by neural networks of staggering complexity. Your visual cortex doesn't just passively receive information about brightness and color, it actively constructs the experience of seeing, filling in blind spots, enhancing edges, detecting motion, recognizing patterns, comparing what you're seeing now with memories of what you've seen before. In a very real sense, you don't just see the world around you, you create it. Your brain takes the raw data provided by photons and weaves it into a rich, immediate, seemingly seamless experience of three-dimensional space filled with objects and colors and movement. The sunset that moves you to tears, the face that makes you smile, the words that carry meaning from one mind to another. All of these exist not just in the external world, but in the extraordinary collaboration between light and consciousness that happens behind your eyes. And here's something wonderful to contemplate. This process of transforming light into sight, electromagnetic radiation into conscious experience, connects you to every other seeing creature that has ever lived. The basic mechanisms of vision, the way photons trigger chemical changes in light sensitive molecules, evolved billions of years ago and has been refined and elaborated ever since, but never fundamentally changed. When a honeybee sees the ultraviolet patterns on a flower that guide it to nectar, when a hawk spots a mouse from hundreds of feet in the air, when a deep sea creature creates its own bioluminescent signals in the eternal darkness of the ocean depths, they're all participating in the same fundamental process that allows you to read these words. Light becomes sight, electromagnetic energy becomes awareness, the universe becomes conscious of itself through the gift of vision. This shared heritage of sight connects you not just to other living creatures, but to the entire history of life on Earth. The first simple organisms that developed light sensitive patches were your ancestors, too, part of the long evolutionary chain that led eventually to the sophisticated visual system you now possess. Every improvement in vision, every refinement in the ability to detect and interpret light has been passed down through countless generations to reach you. Your eyes are the culmination of billions of years of development, more sensitive than any camera, more adaptable than any artificial sensor, more integrated with intelligence than any device humans have ever created. They represent one of evolution's greatest achievements, a solution to the challenge of extracting meaningful information from the electromagnetic radiation that fills the universe. But the story of light and vision extends beyond biology into the realm of human culture and civilization. The ability to see clearly shaped how our ancestors lived and worked and related to each other. The development of artificial lighting changed the rhythm of human life, extending the useful day and creating new possibilities for social interaction and creative expression. Artists learned to capture and manipulate light in paintings and sculptures, discovering how the play of illumination and shadow could convey emotion and meaning. Architects designed buildings that welcomed and channeled natural light, creating spaces that felt alive and inspiring. Writers used light as metaphor and symbol, finding in its properties endless ways to illuminate the human condition. Scientists learned to use light as a tool for discovery, building microscopes that revealed hidden worlds and telescopes that opened windows to distant galaxies. They discovered that light could carry information, leading to technologies that transformed human communication and connection. They learned that different wavelengths of light could heal and harm, could reveal the composition of distant stars and the structure of invisible atoms. And now, as we stand on the threshold of new discoveries about consciousness and quantum mechanics and the fundamental nature of reality itself, light continues to be our guide and our teacher. We're learning that the boundary between the observer and the observed, between consciousness and the physical world, may be far more fluid than we once imagined. Some scientists suggest that consciousness itself might be a form of information processing that depends on electromagnetic fields in the brain, patterns of activity that share deep connections with the fundamental nature of light. Others explore whether quantum effects in biological systems might explain some of the mysteries of consciousness, whether the strange properties of light and matter at the quantum level might be essential to how awareness emerges from neural activity. These are still early days in our understanding of consciousness, but one thing seems clear. The same electromagnetic radiation that carries information across the cosmos also plays a crucial role in the emergence of awareness, understanding, and the capacity for wonder that makes you uniquely human. So, as you sit in the gentle glow of evening light, surrounded by photons that have traveled unimaginable distances and through incredible transformations to reach your eyes, remember that you're participating in something far grander than simple illumination. You're part of the universe's ongoing conversation with itself, a temporary arrangement of matter and energy blessed with the ability to perceive and appreciate the cosmic story of which you're part. The light around you connects you to distant stars and ancient supernovas, to the first moments of cosmic history and the far future when the last stars will fade. It connects you to every other conscious being that has ever wondered at the beauty of a sunset or marveled at the dance of candlelight. It connects you to the deepest mysteries of existence and the most intimate moments of personal experience. In the gentle interplay of light and shadow that surrounds you right now, the entire universe is present, compressed into this single moment of seeing and being seen. How extraordinary, how perfectly miraculous that electromagnetic radiation racing through the void should find its way to consciousness, should become not just information, but inspiration, not just energy, but awareness. Rest easy tonight, knowing that you carry within you the light of creation itself, that in the simple act of seeing you participate in the universe's capacity to know and appreciate its own beauty. The cosmic conversation continues, whispered in wavelengths of wonder, and you are both its author and its audience, its medium and its message, a living testament to the extraordinary journey of light from the hearts of stars to the windows of the soul. And tomorrow, when you wake, the light will be there, waiting, patient as always, ready to begin another day of its eternal journey. From stellar furnaces to your consciousness, from electromagnetic radiation to the rich tapestry of visual experience that makes life so beautifully worth living. But before we close this luminous chapter of our cosmic tale, there's one more secret that light has been keeping, one final revelation that might just change how you see everything around you. It's the realization that light doesn't just carry information about the world, it actually participates in creating the reality. You experience moment by moment. You see, when physicists began studying light at the quantum level, they discovered something that challenged our most basic assumptions about the nature of reality. They found that light doesn't just passively travel through space carrying messages about what exists. Instead, it actively participates in determining what becomes real through the very act of observation. This isn't philosophical speculation, it's experimental fact. When a photon encounters a barrier with two small openings, it doesn't choose one path or the other. Instead, it somehow passes through both openings, simultaneously creating an interference pattern that can only be explained if the single photon interfered with itself. But here's the truly mind bending part. The moment you try to detect which opening the photon actually passed through, it suddenly behaves like a classical particle, taking one definite path. This quantum behavior suggests that reality, at its most fundamental level, is far more fluid and participatory than we ever imagined consciousness and observation. Don't just record what happens, they help determine what happens. The universe, it seems, is not a collection of objects existing independently of observers, but rather a collaborative creation between matter, energy, and awareness. Every time you see something, every glance, every glimpse, every moment of visual awareness, you're not just passively receiving information about a pre existing reality. You're participating in the ongoing creation of that reality through the act of conscious observation. You're helping to collapse quantum possibilities into definite experiences, transforming potential into actual. This means that your relationship with light is even more intimate than we've explored. You're not just the recipient of light's cosmic journey, you're its collaborator, its co creator, its partner in the ongoing dance of existence. The photons entering your eyes don't just carry messages from distant stars, they carry the very fabric of reality itself, malleable and responsive to the presence of consciousness. Consider what this means for the simple act of looking at a sunset. You're not just observing electromagnetic radiation scattered by atmospheric particles. You're participating in a quantum mechanical process that transforms possibility into experience, potential beauty into actual wonder. The sunset doesn't fully exist until consciousness encounters it, until awareness completes the circuit between light and sight. This participatory nature of reality extends to every aspect of your visual experience. The colors you see don't exist in any absolute sense in the external world. Instead, they emerge from the interaction between electromagnetic wavelengths and the structure of your consciousness: the red of a rose, the blue of the sky, the golden glow of candlelight. All of these arise from the meeting place between light and awareness. And here's something even more extraordinary. This creative partnership between consciousness and light may be fundamental to how complex structures emerge in the universe. Some scientists suggest that observation and measurement at the quantum level help stabilize the very atoms and molecules that make complex chemistry possible, that consciousness may play a role in the evolution of increasing complexity throughout cosmic history. If this is true, then the development of vision, the emergence of consciousness, the ability to see and appreciate beauty aren't just happy accidents in an otherwise meaningless universe. They're fundamental features of how reality organizes itself, how the cosmos evolves toward greater complexity and awareness through the patient partnership between matter and mind. This doesn't mean that you create reality through wishful thinking or that the external world is just an illusion. Instead, it suggests that consciousness and the physical universe are more deeply intertwined than classical physics ever imagined, that the boundary between observer and observed, between mind and matter, is far more permeable than we once believed. Every photon that enters your eyes carries with it this quantum potential, this creative collaboration between the possible and the actual. When light becomes sight, when electromagnetic radiation becomes conscious experience, you're witnessing one of the most profound processes in the universe: the transformation of potential into reality through the mysterious alchemy of awareness. But perhaps most beautifully, this quantum creativity isn't limited to exotic laboratory experiments. It's happening constantly in the most ordinary moments of your daily life. When you watch sunlight filter through leaves, when you notice the way shadows fall across a wall, when you see the expression on someone's face change from neutral to joyful, you're participating in the universe's ongoing creative process. The light that illuminates these everyday miracles carries within it not just energy and information, but possibility itself, wavelengths of potential waiting to become experience, quantum states hovering between existence and non existence until consciousness calls them into being through the simple, generous act of paying attention. This is why mindfulness and presence feel so naturally restorative, why simply noticing the play of light and shadow can shift your entire experience of a moment. You're not just observing, you're creating, you're helping to weave the fabric of reality through conscious attention to the luminous world around you. And this creative partnership extends beyond individual moments of seeing to the larger patterns of how light shapes life on Earth. The circadian rhythms that govern your sleep and waking, the seasonal cycles that influence your mood and energy. The way different qualities of light can heal or harm, stimulate or soothe, all of these represent the ongoing collaboration between electromagnetic radiation and biological consciousness. Even the evolution of life itself can be seen as a creative partnership with light. The development of photosynthesis that filled our atmosphere with oxygen, the emergence of vision that allowed complex behavior and eventually consciousness, the way organisms have learned to create their own light through bioluminescence. Each of these represents light and life co creating new possibilities for existence as we've journeyed together through this cosmic story from stellar furnaces to quantum mechanics, from the birth of elements to the emergence of sight. We've seen how light serves as the universe's primary creative medium, the force that enables complexity, the messenger that carries information, the catalyst that transforms potential into actual. But more than that, we've discovered that you're not just a passive recipient of light's cosmic journey. You're an active participant in the ongoing creation of reality through consciousness, through the act of seeing through the simple miracle of opening your eyes each morning and allowing photons from across space and time to become experience. This is perhaps the most profound gift that light offers, not just illumination, not just information, but participation in the creative unfolding of existence itself. You are both witness and collaborator, observer and creator in the grand cosmic dance that began with the first stars and continues in every moment of conscious awareness. So, as you move forward in your daily life, as you encounter the countless forms of light that surround you, from the gentle glow of dawn to the soft radiance of evening, from the brilliant flash of lightning to the quiet phosphorescence of your bedside clock, remember that each encounter is a creative collaboration, each moment of seeing a participation in the universe's ongoing self discovery. The light that carries these words to your eyes connects you not just to the distant past of stellar creation, but to the open future of cosmic possibility. You are a temporary arrangement of atoms blessed with consciousness, a fleeting partnership between matter and awareness through which the universe comes to know and appreciate its own luminous beauty. And in that knowing, in that appreciation, in the simple act of seeing and being moved by what you see, you fulfill one of the deepest purposes of existence itself, to transform the potential beauty scattered throughout space and time into actual experienced wonder, to complete the circuit between creation and appreciation, between light and consciousness. The cosmic conversation continues in every glance, every glimpse, every moment, when electromagnetic radiation becomes the rich, immediate, undeniable experience of sight. And you, dear fellow traveler in the sea of light, are both its voice and its audience, its author and its reader, its beginning and its endless, beautiful continuation. Rest well tonight, knowing that you carry within you the creative fire of ancient stars, that in your very being you represent the universe's capacity to transform energy into awareness, potential into beauty, light into love. The stars are shining, the photons are traveling, and the cosmic dance of creation continues one conscious moment at a time. Sweet dreams, fellow traveler in the luminous cosmos. May your rest be gentle and your dreams painted with the soft colors of starlight. You've journeyed far tonight through the story of light, from its violent birth in dying stars to its tender arrival at your retina. And now, as you drift towards sleep, remember that you are part of this eternal dance of photons and consciousness, a living bridge between the ancient fire of creation and the quiet miracle of awareness. Tomorrow, when you wake, the light will be waiting patient, as always, ready to begin another day of its incredible journey from electromagnetic radiation to conscious experience. The sun will rise, painting the sky in wavelengths that have traveled 93 million miles just to greet your morning. The gentle glow of your bedside lamp will transform electrical energy into the warm illumination that eases you into another day and somewhere in the vast darkness between stars. New photons will begin their own epic voyages across space and time. But tonight, as you settle into the soft embrace of darkness, remember that even in the absence of visible light, the story continues. Infrared radiation still carries warmth from every surface around you. Radio waves whisper through the walls, carrying signals from across the globe. Cosmic rays rain down from distant galaxies, and the gentle phosphorescence of your devices creates tiny islands of illumination in the night. You are never truly separate from light, never truly alone in the darkness, because you carry within your very atoms the memory of stellar furnaces, the carbon in your body, the oxygen in your lungs, the iron in your blood, all forged in the nuclear hearts of ancient stars and scattered through space by supernovas to eventually become part of you, part of this temporary conscious arrangement of matter that can see and wonder and appreciate the beauty of existence. And perhaps most wonderfully, when you close your eyes tonight, your brain will continue to process the day's visual experiences, weaving memories of light and color into dreams that may be stranger and more beautiful than any sunset. The same neural pathways that transformed photons into sight during your waking hours will now create images that exist nowhere but in the theater of your sleeping mind. This is light's final gift to you, the ability to see even in darkness, to experience color and movement and visual beauty, even when your eyes are closed, to carry the day's illumination forward into the realm of dreams, where electromagnetic radiation becomes pure imagination, where the physics of photons gives way to the poetry of the subconscious mind. So rest easy, knowing that you are both stardust and starlight, both the product of cosmic evolution and its most aware expression. You are the universe, contemplating its own luminous beauty through the remarkable gift of consciousness and sight. Tomorrow will bring new light, new colors, new opportunities to witness the ongoing miracle of electromagnetic radiation becoming visual experience. Until then, let the gentle darkness embrace you. Let your breathing slow to match the patient rhythm of the cosmos. Let your thoughts soften like candlelight in a gentle breeze. You have traveled far tonight through space and time, through physics and philosophy, through the grand cosmic story that connects every photon to every moment of conscious sight. The light that began this journey in stellar furnaces billions of years ago has completed its purpose by reaching your awareness, by becoming part of your understanding, by adding one more thread to the luminous tapestry of knowledge and wonder that makes human consciousness so extraordinary. And now it rests too, having transformed from mere energy into meaning, from simple radiation into recognition, from light into insight. Sleep peacefully, fellow voyager, in the sea of photons. Tomorrow the cosmic dance continues, but tonight you can rest in the gentle knowledge that you are home, you are connected, you are part of the eternal conversation between light and consciousness that began with the first stars and will continue long after the last one fades. The stars are whispering their ancient songs tonight, and you, dear listener, have heard their luminous voices carried across the cosmic void by photons that remember the first moments when hydrogen learned to shine, when gravity gathered scattered atoms into the brilliant furnaces we call stars, when light first began its patient journey toward consciousness, toward you. As we bring our gentle exploration to its close, there's something profoundly moving about, realizing that this very moment, this instant of understanding, is itself part of the story. We've been telling the light from your screen or lamp carrying these words to your eyes represents the same fundamental process that powers distant quasars, that painted the first rainbows on primordial Earth, that guided the evolution of every seeing creature that has ever lived. In laboratories around the world tonight, scientists are pushing the boundaries of what we know about light, discovering new ways to bend and shape and control electromagnetic radiation in ways that would have seemed like pure magic to previous generations. They're creating metamaterials that can make objects invisible, developing quantum computers that use photons to process information in ways that classical physics said were impossible, learning to trap individual atoms with laser light so precisely they can cool them to temperatures colder than the depths of space. But for all these technological marvels, for all the sophisticated equipment and complex theories, the most extraordinary moment in the entire story of light remains beautifully simple. It happens every time you open your eyes, every morning when the first rays of dawn filter through your window, every evening when you watch the sun paint the sky in impossible colors, every quiet moment when you notice how light falls across a familiar room and transforms it into something magical. In that simple act of seeing you become the universe's most precious creation, not because you're the center of everything, but because you're the place where everything comes together, where the scattered light of distant suns converges into awareness, where electromagnetic radiation becomes wonder, where the cosmos finally gets to experience its own beauty through your eyes, your thoughts, your capacity to be moved by what you witness. And this, dear friend, is perhaps the most remarkable thing of all. You don't need a telescope to participate in cosmic events. You don't need a laboratory to witness quantum mechanics. You don't need a PhD in astrophysics to touch the fundamental forces that shaped reality. All you need is the willingness to pay attention, to notice, to be present to the light that surrounds you always. When you watch steam rise from your morning coffee, you're seeing the same molecular dance that creates clouds and distant atmospheres. When you notice how sunlight streaming through a window creates patterns on the wall, you're witnessing the wave nature of light, the same property that allows fiber optic cables to carry information around the world. When you see the way colors shift and change throughout the day, you're experiencing the same atmospheric effects that paint the skies of other worlds. Every moment offers an invitation to wonder, every glance an opportunity to connect with something larger than yourself. The light that fills your ordinary day carries extraordinary stories, and the most beautiful part is that these stories are still being written. The universe is still expanding, stars are still being born, new elements are still being forged in stellar cores. Somewhere out there right now, photons are beginning journeys that may not end for millions of years. Some of those photons may eventually reach a planet we haven't discovered yet, where they might strike the eye of a creature we can't imagine, participating in that same ancient miracle of light becoming sight, electromagnetic radiation becoming consciousness, matter becoming aware of itself and finding it beautiful. You are part of this ongoing story, not just a character in it, but one of its co-authors, helping to write new chapters with every moment of awareness, every instant of attention, every time you choose to really see what's in front of you, whether it's the face of someone you love, the way shadows dance on a wall, or the distant glimmer of stars through your window. The cosmic conversation that began with the first photons continues in your living room, in your backyard, in the space between your thoughts and your breath. It continues in the way morning light reveals the texture of familiar objects, in the way evening shadows create new mysteries in familiar spaces. It continues in your dreams, where the day's collected light transforms into stories that exist nowhere else in the universe. And here's something wonderful to hold on to as you move through your days ahead. This conversation never really ends. The light you see today connects you to light from every yesterday and every tomorrow. The same electromagnetic radiation that brought dinosaurs their dawn brings you yours. The same starlight that guided ancient navigators still shines on your evening walks. You carry forward this luminous legacy not through any grand gesture or scientific breakthrough, but through the simple act of living with your eyes open to wonder. Every time you pause to really look at something, really see it, you're honoring the billion-year journey that brought photons from stellar furnaces to your retina. Every moment of appreciation, every instant when beauty stops you in your tracks, you're fulfilling light's deepest purpose, to be witnessed, to be transformed from mere energy into meaning. This is your invitation, then, as our gentle voyage draws to its close. Tomorrow morning, when you wake, take a moment to notice the quality of light filtering into your space. Watch how it changes throughout the day, how it reveals and conceals, how it dances with the surfaces and shadows around you. Remember that you're not just observing light, you're participating in its story, completing its journey, giving it the gift of consciousness. When you step outside and feel warmth on your skin, remember that you're receiving energy that began its existence in nuclear fusion, traveled across the void of space, and arrived at precisely this moment to touch precisely you. When you see colors that take your breath away, remember that those colors exist nowhere but in the collaboration between electromagnetic wavelengths and your awareness. And when evening comes, when you have a quiet moment to look up at the stars, remember that you're not separate from what you're seeing. You're made of the same elements, forged in stellar cores, animated by the same energy that powers distant suns, connected by light itself to everything that has ever been or ever will be. The story of light doesn't end here, of course. It continues in every sunrise, every rainbow, every gentle glow that illuminates your evenings. It continues in the laughter reflected in someone's eyes, in the way morning mist catches sunbeams, in the soft phosphorescence of fireflies on summer nights. It continues in you, through you, as you. So sleep well tonight, fellow traveler, knowing that you are both author and reader of the universe's most beautiful story. The light that began in ancient stars has found its way to consciousness, to wonder, to you. And in finding you, it has found its home. Thank you for joining me on this luminous journey through the cosmos. Until we meet again in the gentle whispers of science, may your days be bright with wonder and your nights peaceful with the knowledge that you are forever connected to the infinite sea of light that surrounds us all. Sweet dreams, and remember, you are starlight, aware of itself, marveling at its own extraordinary journey home.